Welcome one and all to the Prof. John's Office Hour live stream. I'm super excited to be doing this. This is the first time that I have ever done a live stream like in my basement kind of thing. I am a technical director in a professional capacity, and so I've done hundreds of live streams for clients. I have a high standard, which is probably part of the reason why I've never decided to actually pull the trigger and do this myself. And so today is the first one, and I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited to be talking about the potential Sony FX5. So let's go ahead and cut to the music. There we go. And let's start talking about it. So, a couple of things. Maybe the best place to start would be by watching the trailer. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer or not, but I think that is probably a decent place to get started. So let me just cue that up over here. And we are off to the races. So this is the stream from Sony. They have a trailer going on at the moment. Here we go. Super hype. Again, and I think it just repeats. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit because there's already a couple of giveaways and I'll discuss some of the rumors as well, but let's start over here. So first of all, form factor, very similar to the FX3. We've got that removable top handle. And the interesting thing is we have these two lights that are different colors. So let's talk about the top handle first, because some things to consider is if the form factor is going to be like the FX3 form factor, then probably we will not have XLR audio inputs on the body of the camera. Obviously, that's always a trade-off. If you want to have something like the FX6, like this, you have the, I guess this is technically also a removable top handle, but you would never actually use it that way because the top handle actually has the screen. But that's an interesting thing. Another thing to consider is that according to some of the rumors, there's going to be an EVF that you're going to be able to add to the hot shoe of the camera and use an EVF through that. So I find that kind of interesting because I wonder if Sony, if this is true, obviously these are all rumors, if this is true, I wonder if Sony is going to make that like backwards compatible with like a potential firmware upgrade for the FX3. That would be very interesting. Now look, like honestly, I'm not the type of person who's going to be using an EVF. I'm very happy to just use the flip out screen, but I know there's a lot of people who love that, and so that would be interesting for them. One more thing that I'd like to discuss on the topic of the trailer that we've just seen are the two lights. So there's two lights. One is red in the front, one is green in the back. Now, as I mentioned before, I do a lot of live stream work. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, these are not broadcast cameras. Like, there's other cameras that you should be using for broadcast. Did you watch the FIFA World Cup? You know those cameras when people are like on the field on gimbals? Guess what they're using? Oftentimes they're using these cameras. They're using FX6s and they're using FX3s. And so I think it's interesting, the idea of incorporating what looks to me to be tally lights, right? We have like a red light in the front, we have a green light in the back. Why would we have these two lights? Yes, it's possible that we have like a recording slot A, recording slot B. But the fact that it's red and green, I don't know. That's giving tally lights to me. So like one would be like recording media and the other one would be like standby for the camera operator, that kind of thing. And one more thing on this topic before we move on, I'm gonna remove my pretty face. There is a button here, right? Which is interesting. It's on the top of the lens. And if we take a look at where the buttons typically lie on these cameras, they're usually on the side, right? So I'm holding it like this right now. Just show that a little bit clearer. Holding it like this right now. If I hold it like this, the button's on the top. So I wonder if there's gonna be some sort of like a vertical thing going on. I mean, really at this point, I'm just speculating, or maybe it's just a new lens that they're gonna have like two of these buttons. So, how much time do we have? Okay, we got about five minutes. So, I prepared a bingo. I prepared a bingo sheet for this because I was like, what else can we do? I'm just gonna read the comments real quick. This is exciting. Is in before FX6 coming 2028? Ooh, you think it's gonna be delayed? I don't know. We'll see. Bro is rich. Hey man, I've been doing this for 13 years. You do this for enough time, you're gonna get enough cameras. So yeah, let me show you the bingo sheet that I've got going on. So boop over here. So bingo sheet. These are largely based on the rumors. So 5K camera, false color built in, internal NDs. Now look, I would be super stoked if the FX5 had internal NDs because I do think that the FX3 is missing that. It's one of those tools that it would just be amazing if the FX3 actually had. I don't know that's going to be the case. Although if I could, I would have put that like 2 or 3 times on the bingo sheet. 32-bit flow audio. I think that's an easier ask, especially given the trailer that we watched actually possible. The rumors mentioned a locking IBIS. Now this is interesting because the FX3 has IBIS, FX6 doesn't. The ability of having a locking IBIS, meaning that there's some sort of like switch or something that you're able to turn it off, is interesting, especially if you're using it on like a gimbal, because otherwise you can get some of that wobble, you know? That's interesting. We'll see if it actually comes true. OpenGate. OpenGate is one of those asks that people have been wanting for a very long time. And like, look, I'm a content creator, so I very much understand the desire for OpenGate. Let's see. I'm excited for it. MXF codec. This is one of the ones that I added. Now, the MXF codec on the Sony FX6 is a much more robust codec than the MP4 codec on the FX3. Although, to be honest, if I could like amend my bingo card, I would say I want that not to be an MXF codec, because one of the gripes that I have about the FX6 is that it doesn't have an MP4 codec versus the FX3 only has an MP4 codec. And so you don't have that versatility. That's a place that I think this new camera could solve that problem. Live streaming capabilities, as I mentioned, because of that tally light, new lens, live streaming, 3.5-inch flip out screen. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my bingo card. I'll go over that at the end of the video. We have around 2.5 minutes left. So, as we wait for this announcement, I'm going to go ahead and queue up the video so that when it actually comes out, it's ready to go. New product announcement. Oh, did I actually remove it? No. How dare I? Let me just get that queued up. Okay. Yeah, 2 minutes. So hype. Okay. Here are some gripes that I have with the FX3 that I would love to be solved with a potential FX3 Mark II, with a potential FX5, which I think the FX6 does much better. FX3 is amazing for its form factor, right? Much smaller form factor, able to hold in your hands, you're able to mount it in the gimbal. But one of the problems that it has is that it only has a USB-C charging capacity. It doesn't have true like DC the way the FX6 does. And this is noticeable when you are plugging in the camera and recording for extended periods of time. You actually cannot record nonstop on the FX3, at least while outputting through the HDMI simultaneously. The battery will slowly drain over time, which for someone like me who does a lot of live streams, that's not it, you know? So that is a small thing which I think would go a long way to have like an actual proper power supply for the camera. That's one small thing which I'd love to see fixed, and honestly I didn't even put it on my bingo card. The other thing that I would like to see fixed, again, for me as a person who does lots of live streams, is this HDMI port on the FX3. Another big gripe I have is with this HDMI port, and again, this is probably going to be one of those things that does not affect most people, but that HDMI port does not output the same resolution and frame rate that you're doing internally unless you're in 4K. So what do I mean by that? When you're streaming, oftentimes you stream in 1080p because there's really no need to stream in 4K for like most of what it is that you do. But when you set this camera, FX3s and A7S3s and all those, but again, cinema line camera, when you set them to 1080p 2997, they're actually outputting 1080p 60, which is very frustrating when you're using some of these professional switchers that want to make sure that the frame rate and the resolution is always the same. So that is another thing that I hope they fix. It's 10 a.m. Premiere will begin shortly. Premiere. Too excited. I'm too excited, guys. Let me check your comments real quick. False color update for FX3 should be just a matter of an update. I agree. They're streaming the announcement at 10 a.m. Oh, here we go. Anyways, just to wrap up my thoughts, small fixes that go a very long way. Power supply for this. HDMI, proper HDMI that outputs what you're actually recording. We'll see about the IBIS. We'll see about the internal NDs. I think that would make a huge difference for a lot of people. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. After this video goes live, I'll see some of what it is that you're saying and I'll comment on it.
Alpha.
It's official! Looks great. Okay. Official. Open gate. These trailers always look so great. Dual gain. Okay. Is that not triple ISO then? Dual gain is opposed to triple gain? Need to make sure that those are exactly the same thing. Let's see. Image stabilization. Okay. Why am I so excited? I feel compact and lightweight, 643 grams. Okay, so the rumors are wrong, which is exciting because then the bingo sheet will be more of a thrill. This guy's unhappy. Doesn't have internal NDs. God damn it. Okay. So internal RAW-ish? 16-bit RAW? Yeah, they want to show off that highlight roll-off. High frame rate, okay. 4K 240. Okay, so it is 3 base ISO, but dual gain. Okay. Looks great. You're gonna show us more? Okay, okay. I was like, that's it? Is this a teaser? Okay, so it looks exactly like, oh, okay. You saw that screen swivel, huh? 4-axis, 5K full frame, okay, stacked. Internal integrated AI processing for the focus. Designed with cinema-proven DNA and color science, okay. Including open gate, as we know. 5K open gate. Sweet. This is giving IMAX right now. Christopher Nolan, the way Christopher Nolan intended. Awesome. Okay, you saw that EVF, so it must be hot shoe swappable. That's awesome. Oh, dual gain. Okay, click now what it means. Like you can record. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I understand. So you can get the highlights and the shadows at the same time. I understand. That's cool. I'd love to try this out to see how good it really is compared to the cameras that we have today. I know other cameras have AI autofocus. I haven't been able to use any of them yet, though. Okay. 5-axis IBIS. Very cool. Dynamic active. I mean, that's pretty sick. Interesting. Let's see. Okay. Oh, so it's a new handle. Aha! Look at that. Four-axis LCD monitor, huge. Oh, cool. Okay, so that's cool. Like the FX6 or the Venice. Yeah. Okay, there we go. False color. Tally lamps. Okay. Perfect. That's what I wanted. I didn't want just CF Express Type A. NPSA 100, so it's a new battery. How does that differ? Oh, 2 on the bottom. Nice. Ooh, Ethernet. Okay.
Full menu screen. Accessibility. Screen reader.
Okay, that's cool.
On.
Lighting the way forward. Oh. Okay, that's just the difference with the top handle. Okay.
Alpha.
Super, super exciting. Okay, so my first impressions are first of all, a lot of from the bingo sheet is correct. So it is 5K. It does have false colors. It doesn't have those internal NDs, unfortunately. I know, and to me that is a big deal. We didn't get a price, did we? I'll take a look on B&H Photo after this to see if there's a price already. We did get OpenGate. The codec, I believe it's probably going to be an MXF codec. We don't really have information about the HDMI output. EVF is correct. Triple base ISO is correct. 2 SD and CFE slots is correct. EVF FX3 compatibility, we don't know. Internal RAW. So tons of very cool things. Now, my first impression on this, aside from being all hype, isn't this just an FX3 Mark II? Like, what really makes it a different model? It has like that Ethernet. Like physically, what's different in the camera? The tilt screen to me is a version upgrade. The sensor, OpenGate, those could all be version upgrades. I'm looking at my bingo sheet. One of the questions a lot of people were wondering, I'll come back to my bingo sheet over here, is whether it was going to have photos. Because if that camera doesn't have photos, I apologize for how terrible I am at using an iPad. If that camera doesn't have photography for something that looks like this, that is definitely a downgrade. In my opinion, that's like, yes, we're getting a lot of benefits, right? We're getting the 5K, we're getting the OpenGate, we're getting the false colors. Yes, it's a cinema camera first, and a lot of people always harp on me as like, a cinema camera, you just get a photographer. But why remove that feature? I get it in something like this. Even then, I would like to have that feature, but I get it. But on an FX5, FX3-ish type of body, I don't know. That seems like a wasted opportunity. What do you guys think? Let me check some of the comments. What are you guys saying? Please don't be 6K false color updates. If you go 6K video resolution would be fine. No sense to name it FX5, right? Yeah, I would agree. To me, that is straight up an FX3 Mark II. But here's the thing. I think the reason why, part of the reason why they chose not to call it an FX5 is to not to call it an FX3 Mark II, my bad, is they don't want the sale of this camera to cannibalize the FX3, because the FX3 is still, if not the one of their best selling cameras. And so if you call something an FX3 Mark II, then it's going to replace their best selling product. They don't want that, right? And so I think that's why they're calling it an FX5. Let's be honest, it's an FX3 Mark II. Okay, let's take a look on B&H FX5 B&H Photo. Still nothing. FS5, that's not it. If anyone finds something, please throw it in chat. I would love to know. My guess is that it's gonna be $5,999. It's gonna be more expensive than an FX3. FX3 is currently going for, this is US dollars, FX3 US dollars. FX3 is currently going for 4,299. No, on B&H Photo, just the camera is going for 3,898. So actually, it is possible. It is possible that it is cheaper than 5,999, but with that AI chip and that sensor, I don't know. I would, if anyone can find it, if anyone can find the price, please throw it in the chat. I will look at it right now. It's tough to give like a first impression without knowing the price though, right? Because if that camera costs the same as the FX3, then amazing. That's an amazing deal. You get to choose between the FX3 and the FX5. For some people who are a little bit more cinema focused, FX5 makes a lot of sense. People who are a little bit more of like a hybrid shooter, FX3 makes more sense, especially, you know, if there is photography in the FX3 and doesn't have it in the FX5. But it's tough to know that without knowing the price. Because if the FX5 costs $6,000, really? Are you really gonna get an FX5? I get the open gate, I get the 5K, but honestly, like, for the type of work that I do, and I feel like a lot of you in the chat agree with me. Let me pull up chat again. Like, I love a 4K workflow. I personally have no need for more than a 4K workflow. The fact that these cameras talk nice, this one, yes, has 4096 instead of 3840. That's nice, that's great. 6K, yeah, it would be great to crop in, but like, really like 90% of what I do are live streams and social content. Social content, largely corporate, you know, reels, sometimes vertical, sometimes horizontal. Honestly, sometimes we mount this thing like this for like, it's a bit ridiculous at times. But then at which point you don't need 6K. I guess it's nice if you have open gate, you don't have to mount it vertically, but like really, like you can just buy a cage and it costs like, a nice cage will cost way less. No sense to name it a screen bigger and brighter. The screen, I think they said 3.5 inch, right? Which is a little bit bigger. I do not think they mentioned the brightness of the screen. So USD 5500, the Film Guy official, 5500 USD with new top handle. Where are you getting this information, Film Guy official? We will probably get one with NDs for FX6-ish costs in 6 months. Ooh, that is do you have a source for that? If so, you see, that is something that that I would be interested in. What do you mean though? Because, sorry, I misinterpreted your comment. I thought you meant like for FX3. FX6 already have NDs. Top handle plus EVF is going to be the price handicap. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's go through the bingo sheet. I'm gonna go through the bingo sheet over here. Let's see if we got a bingo in the meantime. If anyone can find the price. Super interested to see. Oh, we lost my bingo sheet for a second. Okay, 5K. We got it. False color, we got it. Internal NDs, no. 32-bit float, we got it. Locking IBIS. Did they mention the locking IBIS? Did they? I'm gonna look at the comments. It's on B&H. New camera with the same sensor. Okay, hang on. FX5. FX5, you're right. It is on B&H. Okay, let's take a look at that. Here we go. Is it this one? Boom. 4,898. So I was wrong about the price. That is, but if we look at it with the XLR handle unit, which is 5,498. So, you know, I'm gonna call that a win. That's huge. That's good. It's at a reasonable difference between the FX3 and the FX6. Body only. Let's look at the body only 4,898. Pre-order, coming soon. Does not say when. And then the lenses, these all look, yeah, these are 28 to 70. Yeah, we knew about that, right? Those are 28 to 70. Sony? Did we know about that? No, that's a new item. Okay, well, hang on. That's actually pretty huge. 28 to 70, because this is now competing with the Canon. I feel like Canon has had a 28 to 70 for a long time. F2. The price is unfortunate, but but that's interesting. Still, body only, no lens. That's not bad, to be honest. That's not bad. Will I get it though? Am I going to actually get this camera? You know what? Let's do the bingo, and then we'll decide whether we're getting it. Locking IBIS. I don't think they mentioned the locking IBIS. Open gate, they did. MXF codec, I'm gonna say yes. New lens, they didn't mention. Oh well, you know what? It's on B&H. Yes. Live streaming, they did mention the tally, but they didn't specify the live streaming, so I'm not gonna check it. 3.5-inch screen, native HDMI out. They didn't mention 4-axis screen. Correct. The price, nope. Venice menus, correct. They didn't mention the 16.6 megapixel sensor, did they? It's not a new lens. I have had it for 12 months. It says new item coming soon. Film Guy official. The 28-70 f2 says new item coming. Oh, this is the. Oh, I see. It's new item is the body of the camera. I understand. Okay, that's cool. 16.6 megapixels. EVF, yes. Triple base ISO, yes. IBIS, yes. Photography, they did not mention. Very interested to know more about that. EVF FX3 compatibility. We don't know. 2 SD and CFE slots, NP-SA 100 batteries. Let's talk about that real quick. What are your guys' thoughts on the new batteries? I know that I understand that at a certain point, in order to get that 5K raw internal open gate ability, you do need battery that is a little bit, more heavy duty. So I get it. We're gonna get along with the times. We're gonna have to buy new batteries. It is unfortunate in the short term, but I do understand it in the long term. Would love to know your thoughts. Internal RAW, yes. And SDI out, no. Did we get? Oh my God, we didn't get bingo. Are you kidding me? I randomized this. Oh no, we did. Over here. Woohoo! High five. Actually, let's cut over here. High five. Good job, team. So we talked about the batteries, no SDI out. Yeah, so I do wonder about the one thing that does not seem to have been solved that we know of based on that trailer is the DC situation on the camera. If an FX5, the battery drains the same way it does on an FX3, but maybe it won't because of that new battery, right? So TBD on that. We don't know about that. TBD. Yeah, majority of FX5 users are going to use a dummy. Yeah, fair. Although, personally, I prefer having an actual battery and have it plugged into power, right? So that you can... Because a dummy battery, like it's happened to a lot of us, I'm sure, if it if it wiggles the wrong way or something, like the camera just shuts off in the middle of a recording and then your files get corrupted. So having a proper battery and then like a V-mount attachment plugged into DC is a much better and professional solution than a dummy battery. To me, a dummy battery does not scream pro. A dummy battery is something that I used to use on the A7S II, not something I would want to use on an FX5. That's my thought. That's my thought, at least. Let's see what else are people saying in the comments, and then I'll say whether I think I would buy this camera. Streaming the announcement, no, in ZV Mark II. Please don't buy this. Haha, we'll find out. Critch Eye. Did they mention the MP? I'm pretty sure should have kept the same, honestly. Okay, so would I purchase this camera? Would I pay the $5,000-ish for that camera? No. Long story short is no, I don't have any need for all of those things at that price point. I'm very happy with these two offerings. The middle offering, what I would consider an FX5 to be, is something a little bit more in line, like literally something that's in between these two, a smaller form factor than the FX6 that has the flip out screen built into it, that you can remove the top handle on this, kind of like a box camera-ish, with the NDs, and hopefully, ideally, a smaller form factor with SDI out. Like, that is what I would want an FX5 to have been. Because as we have already determined, this is an FX3 Mark II. which is fine if you call it an FX3 Mark II. It's a great camera if you call it an FX3 Mark II. As an FX5, it's not what I would want. And so for that reason, I mean, it feels petty to say like, oh, if they had called it an FX3 Mark II, I would buy it at full price. I probably wouldn't buy it at full price anyways, because I don't use those tools enough to warrant paying $5,000. I have the cameras that I have, and I'm pretty happy with them for the time being. And I don't usually shoot in uncontrolled environments either, so I can control my lighting. That triple base ISO is great for like, I guess like documentary filmmakers or people who don't have control over the lighting. That's not the case for me. I typically do have some control over the lighting, and usually I'm shooting in decently lit environments if that's not the case. Okay, so yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this stream. I'm very excited. This is my first stream. If you guys are still here and you like the video, please consider subscribing to this new channel. I do have my main channel. We're about to hit 100,000 subscribers. That's very exciting. For the Prof. John's office hours, I wanted to do more of like a behind the scenes, more of like impromptu, live, off the floor kind of thing. So if you're into this type of content, please hit subscribe. Thank you guys very much for joining, and I'll catch you probably in like a week. Gonna try to be doing these on a weekly basis. All right, bye-bye.